With over 18 years playing Quake, I've used a lot of different monitors, including the odd CRTs, and now we have 240Hz panels. To answer the main question, yes, I can tell the difference between 240 and 144Hz. 240 is definitely smoother, it's awesome, but awesome to the point of being a must-have? No, not really. I'm still happy to play on 144Hz. When we came from 60 to 120Hz, it was so much smoother, and 144 to 240 is a fair bit better and really good, but not as important as a jump from 60 to 120. Now, the next question I get is, will 240 help you play better? I tested this theory again, so here are some highlights from me using 60Hz. I've been saying this for years because I didn't play any better when I moved to 120Hz. I don't think it helps much with aim, and I don't think it helps you play better. I think it's just more fun to play on. So higher frames is more about better experience rather than better aim. If you're familiar with my highlights, you'll probably see these are better than most. Part of that is being in practice with the Zowie FK2. The other part might be the 60Hz factor. While it feels a bit laggy, the slower action might be easier to process mentally. It's amazing how many mid-air rockets I hit while on 60Hz. Although in heated battles, it got a bit hard to follow the action. That's mostly a Quake thing though. So my point here is that aim-wise, I don't think you should be so concerned about the hertz you're playing on. It's just much nicer playing on higher rates. So I would say just go for the entertainment value, not because of any perceived skill advantage. So where does that leave us? Should we upgrade to 240Hz or stick with 144? If you can afford it, then yes, definitely 240. It's extremely good. But if you're on a budget and don't want to spend the extra, or you simply can't get 240 frames in the games you're playing, then it's not really needed. This is more for the serious CS and Quake players that want the best experience. Okay, with that in mind, the BenQ Zowie XL2540 is definitely one of their best in my opinion. I'll get to a couple of the differences, but first I'll go through the features. It has the usual high quality metal stand with a handle, opening for cable management, and it swivels, tilts, rotates, and has height adjustment of 14 cm. The connections on the bottom are DVI-D, HDMI, and DisplayPort. It has two USB 3.0 ports on the side, along with headphone and mic, and an extendable headphone arm. It handles glare fairly well. This is what it looks like with a bright light shown upon it, so it's not reflective, but as always, it will get a bright spot. And it has angled edges around the screen to avoid reflections. With a black background, I can't see any glow. The panel seems fairly even all over from directly in front. It's only when I go right above it that I can see some inconsistency. Hard to show on camera though. Nothing to worry about, so no real bleeding. The viewing angles aren't the best, but for side to side, they're good for a TM panel. Where they struggle is of course from below and above. The argument is that you should be sitting in front, but I move around in my chair and can notice. It also has one of my favorite features, the S-Switch. This makes navigating menus so much easier, and you can switch between 3 profiles, so you could have one for daytime gaming, nighttime, and then general use. Going through the menus, here is a look at some of the features. There's black equalizer, so you can see enemies hiding in shadows. Here's a look at CSGO shadows, going through the levels so you can see the difference. Then there's color vibrance, also to help enemies become more visible, and it's great that you don't have to set that in software anymore. Then of course the low blue light, then the usual options including color settings. The colors actually seem really good, even on default. It didn't take me long to get it to look the way I wanted. AMA is what you change with the UFO test, so here's a look at the difference. With it off, it seems darker, with a bit of blurring behind it, like a shadow. But with it on, it gets some bright effect behind it, like ghosting, but it also becomes clearer. In games, sometimes I think I can tell the difference, but it might be placebo. I just leave it on premium because that's the recommended setting and it seems to work well. And lastly, you can also turn off the beep and LED, along with some other settings. It also comes with these shields, but I don't really see the difference, so I personally wouldn't use them. As for the differences I mentioned, the XL2730 and XL2735 have a fair bit of grain in the screen. Sometimes it's a bit distracting. The quality on the XL2540 seems much better. Also, this doesn't have that vertical line problem that I talked about in the 2730 review. They were the only two problems that really worried me, so it's great to see that the quality is better on this. To conclude, well, I've already given my conclusion. Yes, the monitor is amazing. The best so far from the BenQ Zowie lineup. 240Hz is awesome, but not a necessity. It's just really great to have. It really depends if it's going to suit your needs. If you just want 1080p and about 24 inch and have the money for it, then go for it. If you want a cheaper version and you're okay with 144Hz, I can recommend the XL2430, also a great monitor. And of course, all of these are 1 millisecond monitors. To play in a competition match, if I had the choice, I'd choose the 2540. I doubt many people, if any, would be unhappy with 240Hz, and as it should last years, it's a good way of future-proofing. Such a great monitor, recommended for people getting over 240 frames per second. Hope that helps. Big thanks to BenQ Zowie for sending this out for a review, and if you want to help support the channel, I'll leave the usual links in the description. As always, subscribe, like and share this video, and I'll catch you in the next.